It always stuck with me about, because I couldn't join the army because of my epilepsy. He pretty much went, yeah, have you got any of these? And I went, yeah, I'm epileptic. And he went, out the door. And then, I don't know, one day I just thought, go on, let's do something big. Not really a thing where I've never enjoyed running. That's the funny thing. It did feel like this is my little adventure, like a little hobbit going on. I ended up having 3 seizures. I knew I had to do something big because of what they did will forever be bigger.
My first question to you, what was your call to adventure?
I don't know, it always stuck with me about, because I couldn't join the army because of my epilepsy. So I could never really, it was always something that was there. Like I was that kid who had the little stick in the garden going thinking I was going to be a soldier. But then one of my friends, John, he's done so many charity challenges, and he did, I think it was 7 marathons in 7 days in a morph suit. And he always used to get me doing, say, a half marathon here, and do this for Mind, and do all these little ones. And then, I don't know, one day I just thought, go on, let's do something big. Let's do something really, something special. And I guess I thought this will be my way of being part of the army without being able to be a part. So I'm going to run this big daft distance with bags on my back. And just, yeah, let's be a soldier, let's enjoy this. But, yeah, didn't quite finish the way I'd have liked, but that was my, I guess, call to adventure as such.
Yeah. So, how long have you been running for? Like, that seems to be a big part of what you do.
On and off for maybe 10 years. I think it was about 10 years ago I did my first half marathon. But I don't know, running just always seemed a bit of a, yeah, get up and go. Let's just put your headphones in, enjoy, just run. And so it's not really a thing where I've never enjoyed running. That's the funny thing. I don't like running. I find it tremendously boring. And some of the days when I was doing it, I had Lord of the Rings, the soundtrack from Fellowship of the Ring to Return of the King, had it on the whole time. Just the whole way through. And in my head I was going, here's the Shire. Oh, they're just coming down now. Aragorn kicks the helmet and breaks his toe in real life. And, you just go through it in your head of where I was working it out. But when you're going through fields and there's just trees and everything around, you do genuinely find yourself. And it felt like I was on my own little adventure. And it was just a weird little, yes, I'm like Frodo and Sam, just me though, going along, and it was a really surreal thing that you had some days. It did feel like this is my little adventure, like a little hobbit going on. It just, I don't know, it just made me laugh as I was doing it, and it kept a smile on my face throughout that period of time.
Yeah. For those that don't know, like, anything about you, what was the challenge you did, and where did the idea come from?
So, basically, because it's 80 years since D-Day this year, oh, that's just gone 80 years, hasn't it? On June the 6th, I was thinking of what could I do? Is there something that I can personally do to try and help maybe raise some money, or do something for those who served and continue to serve now? And, you get thinking, and I went back 800 kilometres. Why not run that distance? That sounds like a great idea. Why not have some fun running that sort of distance? So I found out the most northerly barracks in England is Albemarle, just north of Newcastle. Or I hope that is, otherwise my research wasn't very good. And then it was come around the country, come from, well, I guess the northeast, over to Macclesfield, which is where I live. Drop further down to Amesbury, and then to the White Cliffs of Dover, which would have been the finishing point, which initially was 800 kilometres or just over. But as soon as Google Maps started being Google Maps and send me via motorways and send me through, well, it said go through these fields, it's fine. Well, it was a farmer's crop. You cannot run through a farmer's crop. It's just, no. So you have to take detours, and it ended up would have worked out closer to 900. But it's said, couldn't join the army because of my epilepsy. Well, with this run, when I got to, it was near to Worcester, I ended up having 3 seizures whilst at the hotel. One, as I went to leave, and they found me in the grounds, just lay there. So they got me back into the hotel in the foyer, came round, we were talking, and then I was like, no, I can still go, it's fine, I'll keep running, I've got to get to this place in this time, can't stop. Then I had a second, so they called the ambulance, of course, I can't judge them on it. So the second, when the ambulance got there, I'd come around again, said, I need to go, this is serious, I need to complete this run. There's no, I'm just doing. They convinced me to get in the ambulance and just have a sit down. And then I'd spoke with my dad, and, Dad, I always say, Dad's my next of kin. Mum would worry like crazy if I told her something. So I always have to say Dad first. Dad can hopefully slow Mum down, even at the age of 32. So then when I was sat in the ambulance, I had a third seizure, so they got me to the hospital, which was Worcester, and did all the tests, and I think my body was missing some substantial, a bit important stuff out of my blood and out of this and that, because it was it 26 degrees some day, and there was no shade. It was just a field or a long road, and you weren't covered by trees. I just had a little thin snood over my head because I'd lost my cap. It was just all these little things were built up, and I think it just completely drained my system from head to toe, and already having the epilepsy, I think it just exacerbated, and gave me a nice little trip to hospital, really.
With your epilepsy then, I don't really know a lot about epilepsy. How does that affect your day-to-day life, and does it usually affect your training at all?
It does, and it doesn't. It's weird. I have to take extra care and think about, this, I've got my tablets. When it comes to epilepsy, it is such a weird, it's, I think it's like misfiring neurons or something. They struggle to get to the bottom of it, really, for everyone, because for everyone it's different. So they found in the past someone might just have a little twitch here and there, and that's it. That can be classed as epilepsy. Me, I'm fortunate enough to have the full-blown, out cold, on the floor, shaking. So, and that's what they call a grand mal. The small ones where it could just be a little shake of the hand or maybe an absent moment is a petit mal. So, when it comes to my training, there's certain moments before where I'll feel something and I go, this isn't right, get safe. You know, whether it's, sitting in an armchair, just in case I do fall back and anything. Since I'm in a lockdown almost place, comfortable, I can't roll over, I can't, I'm sat upright so my tongue can't go back. It's a safe place for me, or safer place than being in the middle of a field. But, you know, epilepsy is such a complex thing. It's not one that, I guess, it's not talked about enough. But, like I say, the doctors and everyone try and get to why it happens and why this. No one can. Because it is just such a complex disability, really. And no one knows what to do.
Yeah. Are there any measures that you've learnt to put in place before? Because you're obviously like into your running, and I can't imagine you're carrying an armchair around with you when you're running. So, what do you have to like put in place beforehand to sort of help?
Might sound daft to everyone else, but there isn't much. There really isn't much that I put in. I think about, I pay attention to how I'm feeling that day. The sleep that I've had, because sleep can be a major issue for me. There's a thing in my wallet that says, my name is Jack, I'm epileptic, this is who to call, etc, etc. But generally, if someone finds someone lay on the floor, they're not going, wallet. People have said, why don't you get a tattoo on your wrist? And once again, as I said, that's not the first thing people check for. Yeah. It's just, you don't, if you see someone lay on the floor, you wouldn't walk over and go, wrist, let me just check them. Unless it was across my forehead.
You're going to see if you're right and you've just got epilepsy on your forehead. It's like, oh, well, I know he's got epilepsy.
Exactly. We've got it now. What is it? I think it's lilac is the colour of, like a little ribbon with lilac in it. Epilepsy in... Yeah, exactly. No one really knows that. But if I had epilepsy with lilac through it, you go... Oh, definitely now. He's got the right colour. Ah ha ha.
Yeah. It's something that, like, I've never had to think about. Because my first thing would be to just call an ambulance. Like, someone's having a seizure, call an ambulance. And I'm sure they probably do direct you, be like, do you know this person? Have they had seizures before? You'd just be like, no. And then they might say, check their wallet, see if they've got like medical card or something. But yeah, people aren't thinking that off the top of their head, like, he's having a seizure, I'm just going to check his wallet. And if someone did think that, you'd probably think they're going to steal from you. Like, we're just checking his wallet for a medical card, how much cash has he got in there, sort of.
Turn around and someone's got your wallet in their hand, you going, I might just be coming round, but that still looks weird.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, of course I've got my iPhone. If you press the buttons to turn it off, it comes up with, what's it, medical ID, I think it is. Yeah. So if someone went on that, it would show who to call, all these details. But it's another one. No one really knows or thinks that. You do look and go, someone's having a seizure, quick, call an ambulance. You don't think, right, check the wallet, check the wrist, check this, check phone, check... You don't do a checklist first. Yeah. You just go, ambulance, quick. Try and get them off the back. and recovery position, and that's it. Wait.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just something I've never had to think about. So it's quite interesting to hear from you already. You just got to almost like hope for the best a lot of the time.
Yeah. If I was to let it hang over me, which I mean, there's times throughout the years where I have let it maybe get a bit too much and concentrate too much, and it never plays out well. But I could say with the army, when I was 16, 17, when I went there to speak with them, because I've always held them in the highest of respects, and looking at them and just going, I want to be that, please let me be that. Once they said, the guy, I always laugh about it now, but he was nice about it, but in a short way of putting it, he pretty much went, yeah, have you got any of these? And I went, yeah, I'm epileptic. And he went, out the door. Thanks for coming. I mean, it wasn't that simple, of course, but that's just, And I understand it. Like I say, if I let it get too much, and I did sit there and panic and worry every day, well, if I go out to work today, I might have a fit on the way. If I do that, I might have a fit again. I can't cook because I might have a fit, and then all of a sudden I might knock some boiling water on me, or I might set fire to something. All of a sudden, you would have no life whatsoever. So having it, you just kind of got to go, okay, let's live the best way we can, regardless.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing these runs and stuff, people are worried, family and friends, they are worried. They're going, what about that though? Oh, I've just got to carry on like any other day. If it's a half marathon, I could have one then. So if I'm doing, I ended up finishing with 10 marathons in 10 days, of course, but if it's a half, a full, or 10 in 10 days, it's just, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You have to deal with that. You can't let it get there. If you let your head get into that area, it's a very, very long and lonely place to be sat, and it's not fun.
Yeah, I can't imagine it is. When did you find out you had epilepsy? Was it something you've always had, or did it develop at some point?
I think it was, I was 14, but I don't know, I think I've banged my head on floors too many times to remember that. The first one I do remember though, and it was Christmas. First one I remember was Christmas Day. We were in the car, and we always go to the pub in between 12 and say 2:30, I think it is. So we'll have a couple of drinks for everyone. Merry Christmas, yeah. And the story I was told by Mum, Dad and my little brother, bless him, because he would have been about 11 or 12. Me and him were messing around in the back of the car, just laughing and playing around, really. And then brother turned around and said, Jack's dancing really weird. So Mum and Dad turned round, and I was having a seizure, and he thought I was just dancing, but in a stupid way. And they went, that's not dancing, right? Straight to the hospital. So I got to spend a Christmas Day in hospital. It's always fun to go and do something like that. Okay. But that's the first one I remember. But I think 13, 14, something like that, really. When it comes to stuff like that, you just kind of go, yeah, you're epileptic. And that's what
Yeah, there's not much more you can do
No.
at that point.
It's happened, it's what it is, and we just, as my dad says, keep smiling and just keep moving forward, really.
Yeah. So going back to your 880 days then, how did like that come about? I know you said you was like, oh, I just want to run 800. Like, how did that come into your head? What made that the thing? I'm going to run 800. Because you could have been like, oh, I'm going to do like 80 press ups. You could have run 80 kilometers. Why 800? Like, why so big?
Because it was such a big thing. D-Day was one of those things that it was such a big thing that they did back then. All those brave people who went and had to get off those landing craft and get off into just this monumental thing, and they all went and did it, and they went, right, here we go. It was like, I knew I had to do something big, because of what they did will forever be bigger. So I think just saying, 80, no, it's not big enough. We need to do bigger. I mean, at one point it's going to be 800 miles. But then when I looked at it, it would have gone up and down to try and hit the miles. So we looked at the kilometres and went, well, that works out 20 marathons, 20 days, give or take. So if we do it that way, we can, if we do it in kilometres, it'll work out a lot better. But soon, when it was miles, it was going all over the place.
Yeah. How do you train for something like that? Was it just a case of, I'm just going to go out and run occasionally? Do you have to have like a proper plan in place? Like, how do you plan the route as well?
The route was, it was just bits of research, if I'm honest. It was just like, let's look, if we come down here, move this, move. So it was a running app I used on the computer, and I can't remember the name of it now, so sorry to all the team behind that. But I just kept moving little bits and, find what would be the best route to go through. Initially, the attempt was avoid the road as much as possible, which that was one of the toughest things about, people said about going back out. As much I'd like to say to everyone, do it. It's something you'll never forget. It's an amazing thing. And some of the people I met and things I saw was incredible. Running along those long sweeping roads of, say, 5 to 6 miles, where it's just all the way along, it's scary. And I think I did actually build up a tolerance to nettle stings, because cars were coming at me and they were not trying to give me a bit of an area, so you just had to move. Nettles straight up your legs, carry on again, just carry on with it. You can't sit and focus, just keep going.
Yeah.
So, it's just such one of these, I don't know, when you look back at it, there's so many positives, but there's just so much sits in the back of your mind as well, and it sticks with you, really.
Yeah.
I know I went off on a tangent from the actual question, but
yeah, so with the training then, like, did you give yourself loads of time to train? What did that look like?
Generally it was getting up, and I think it started the other side of Christmas, and it was just about getting up and going. So I'd be in the gym and I'd do generally for the body, it was just core work, almost stability. So as I was running or doing these things, I knew if I have good core, good stability throughout my joints and everything, it's going to keep me going longer and longer. And then the actual runs, I started off with 10Ks, just going through them, and it was nice and comfortable. And my confidence was coming up and up and up with each one. And then it was, okay, let's do half, let's do this. And confidence was coming up and up and up. And I'd done a couple of halves, and then I was coming up to a 10K. And I looked, and the travel to try and get to this 10K in time, it would have cost me a fortune in a taxi to be able to do it. So I looked and I went, right, if I run from home to this point, I'm doing a bit of road running, like with actual traffic around, but then get there, and then I start the 10K. It basically put it in a half marathon, so I had a half real experience of, right, you can have the cars, you can have this, what you're focusing on, and then got the 10K of just a bit more of a relaxing experience with everyone around, just we all keep going together. So, and I was doing that, I was just building up the confidence each time with doing those. But then, in the morning or after work, just get up. Okay, right, how long shall we go for today? On what distance? Let's do 10K today. Okay, 10K. Oh, another fun, I called it a fun one anyway, I like doing, was run along to the end of a road. And, well, yeah, it only really works if you know where you are. So if I was to do it round here, I would never play this game, but when I'm at hometown, I can play this game. Run to the end of a road, and you go, say, left or right? Right. And then you keep running, and then all of a sudden you go, let's go left. Okay, let's go left. All of a sudden you realise you've done an hour, and all you've been doing, you're actually having a laugh and a joke and enjoying your time doing it, because you don't know what's coming next. You're not planning it. You only decide when you get to the end. And I get back each night after doing something like that, whether it was raining, whether it was sunny, whatever it was, I'm just going, that was fun. And you're smiling about it, and you're going, well, I've just ran an hour and a half. And I've only enjoyed that. Okay, we'll do that again. I think sometimes having a set run and a set course can become monotonous. I try to keep it as light-hearted and almost enjoyable as I could, mix it up, instead of doing just, I think that can get a bit, well, like I said, monotonous.
I think for me, from coaching and everything, I'm a numbers guy. It's like I have to know the numbers before I do stuff. Yeah. I need to know how long I'm training for, like what I'm training for, what's happening that day, and everything. And yeah, I feel like I do miss out on the let's just go out and let's just do something. Doesn't matter how far you go, what distance you go in. There's got to be, like, I'm so structured. This is what I'm doing today. I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I know what I'm doing next week. I know what I'm doing the week after.
I think that's a great, it can be a great way of doing it. But when I was trying to do this way, because if you think, when you're doing it structured, you're very disciplined with that structure, going bang, bang, bang. With me, I wasn't as disciplined as probably should have been for large portions of it. But I was just going out, and I'd always just come back with a smile, because I've not overexerted. It was about just getting from there to home, but in the weird, maybe strangest weird way possible. But I knew you are not allowed back onto your street until you've done past an hour. Sometimes it would be, just because I was out that far, it would be an hour and a half. But I was never allowed back onto my road until I'd done an hour already.
Yeah.
So that's where you get the numbers. It's just kind of going, okay.
And I think it's just important that people just find what works for them. Because what you're going to get the most results from is just adherence. Like, if you do the plan, doesn't matter what the plan is. The plan could be, I'm just going to go out and run and I'm just going to have fun with it. Or it might be like, you've got an hour's run to do at this pace and that. Like, whichever one you resonate with, just do it and you'll get a result.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm one of these people, and again, it comes from coaching. That just, you overcomplicate it sometimes. You're like, I want it to be perfect, and it's like, nothing has to be perfect. You just got to do it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was one night. It started raining. About 50. No, it started raining a little bit about 15 minutes in, and I was like, oh my God, please don't get worse. And I got to a point where about half an hour later, I was soaked from head to toe. All I wanted to do was get home. And I thought about turning back. And then I thought about carrying on. And then it clicked. You are the furthest point out right now that you're going to be. If you keep going forwards, or you turn back, it's going to make no difference to the time. So you might as well keep going forwards, because you're still drenched. You're still at that point.
Yeah.
So you might as well just keep going forwards. 10 minutes later, I was laughing away to myself. And, there's cars going up and down, and there's people under umbrellas going, like, putting their heads dead close. And I'm going, I'm having fun. Because I knew there was no way back. You were only going that forwards direction. And I think that sort of mentality, when I was doing the run, you get to a point and you went, well, I can't go back. Well, let's enjoy it and keep going forwards. You're only going to the next town, which is X amount. It'll be alright. We'll keep going. We'll stop and have a little coffee. It's raining, but we'll stop and sit under a tree. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. With the run then, so you basically said the route was going to be about 20 marathons in 20 days. How did you manage running a marathon a day? Like, that's quite a task.
It was a challenge, but I had mental logic on it, which, for me, it was a simple logic, and I think when people have heard it, they've gone, yeah, that makes sense. But they don't get it till it's when you wake up in the morning for work. You get up, you go to work, you get home. That's it. For me, it was get up, you do, and you get back. So you get up, go on the run, and go home. Or go back to the next hotel, what have you. I didn't think about any of it. You kept going. You just went, yeah, it's another day at work. It's another day in the office. But it might have been more physical than being sat in an office, of course. But you just kept moving, and you didn't stop. And you didn't go, my legs are... have a stretch in the morning. It's just part of your routine now. You'll be okay.
Just running a marathon, just casually part of your routine.
There was never a worry about time, though. So if I looked and there was a big steep hill, and I mean some of them, especially in the northeast, I've got photos on my phone, and I was looking at them going, that's not a hill. It can't be categorised as a hill. When you got to those, yeah, you'd walk up them, because there was no way, whether you had bags or not, there was no way you were going up that hill, running. You just, we'll walk up this part, fine. But then you get to the top and you're looking, okay, this part's flat, start running again. And then you'd finally find a downhill, which you had a big, huge, silly grin on, and you'd run down the hill, and it was so enjoyable, those little moments. But, okay. It's like almost water off a duck's back. You just had to keep a happy, positive attitude, even when it was going wrong.
Yeah. So, obviously you said about how it went wrong, that ended it. What were the other moments where it sort of went wrong along the journey?
Was it the first or second day? Because I had some carabiners on my bag, because I was holding the flag, so it was always coming off my back a bit, so everyone could see. Help for heroes, and then I looked like a little superhero with my cape on. I thought it was quite amusing. But one of the straps on the bag snapped. Like I say, first or second day. I think it was the end of the first day, something like that. So I had to get a carabiner, tighten it up, so I had the bag strapped up again. But I knew I had a rucksack at home, so it's right. Can change when I get home. It's not the end of the world, because I stopped part way round at my home so I could have my own bed for the night. Then it was the morning of leaving on my last bit to get home. That other strap snapped, so I had to get another carabiner, and that was it, right? And then I was running around with the flag as like a little skirt almost at that point. So yeah, it was just, both straps are snapped. It's putting all this extra strain on my shoulders, and in between the first strap going and then the second, there was this horrible rubbing and strain where every night I was sat there at the next hotel just having to rub just above, where the shoulder blade is, around that sort of mark, because it had put such a strain and it really just uncomfortable, because you could never get it exactly the same. It was always putting extra strain somewhere, and but then you hit the hills, and I think I had one day of really, really bad rain and thunderstorms, and you just went, okay, let's have it. Let's just run in there, so it'll be okay. We'll just laugh it off. And just did. There's nothing else to do, I guess, for a lot of it. You just had to smile and enjoy what I was doing.
Yeah. It's incredible, the fact that you've just got that attitude, because, you didn't have a support crew. You're carrying all your stuff on your own. You've basically just set out on your own and just I'm just gonna do this thing. And I feel like, myself included, we all get caught up in the logistics of things, and the bigger the challenge gets, the more you're like, I need to plan this, I need everything to be perfect, and you're planning, and it almost puts you off, because the planning is more work than just doing the thing.
Well, it's every day I looked, and so for the route, because originally it was going to be take this route and then Google Maps or what. At one point I had a big rant on a video on Instagram where I was saying I was going to beat up the guy from whoever owns Google. I was going to beat him up because he just put me through hell. But I'd sit there at night and I'd look on my phone and go, right, okay, well, there's a river there. The river's going to be flat. Well, there's a canal. The canal's flat. Let's take that and go along through the countryside and go through. And it was some of those days, along the River Severn, absolutely lovely. Yeah. Very, very thankful I didn't have a seizure there, because it could have ended up a lot worse, of course. But I just ran along there, and then I'd end up in, I don't know, some woods, or just take a short little coming off the river, and then you're in these wild woods and everything. It was crazy doing that, but like I say, in the evening, I'd be sat there just on my phone while I'm eating, just going, right, this is what we're going to do today, because Google's evil. I was convinced Google was there to stop me. So I just had to make it up almost. Sometimes it was make it up as you go along and just see where the next part takes you.
Yeah. What was the best moment of the part of the challenge you did?
If this gentleman hears it, I apologise that I can't remember your name. But I was sat on a bench because I'd stopped off just for... I've been going a few hours and I thought, right, I'll stop. Have a little cup of coffee because I have my flask with me. Had some flapjacks, so I was like, right, having a little coffee. And he came over, and this was before the second strap had snapped. So he went, oh, so can I ask, why have you got the Help for Heroes flag there? I said, well, massive respect. I explained it all, the work that Help for Heroes do, which just hugely respect them for. And, well, hence t-shirt, of course, now, and a tattoo, actually. But I said I'm raising the money for Help for Heroes by running this, and it must have been late 70s, early 80s, but he got so excited because he'd met someone doing a challenge such as... He said, I've never been able to meet someone, I've always wanted to meet them. These people who go these sort of distances, do these amazing things, and they just selflessly get up, let's do it. I've finally been able to meet one at this late age I'm at. I'm so thankful I've been able to meet you, thank you. And he just really gracious that he just met me. Yeah. That was it. And I just remember being sat there on this bench not really knowing how to react. So it was like, wow, what a kind thing for someone to say, and just seeing the excitement in him, like I say, late 70s, early 80s, and it's someone doing a massive challenge. Wow, I'm so lucky to meet them. Right, as soon as I get home, can I take a poster? I want to show my friends that I've met you. I want to do this. And it was just a remarkable moment where you just went, you know what you're doing isn't just helping so many people. This money isn't just going to Help for Heroes, to help all those who have and are currently serving. Well, at that moment it gave that man a big huge smile and positivity. Sometimes I think that really can make quite a big difference in someone's day. Just a smile at one point in a day can go a long way.
Yeah. No, it's good to see that, like, there's people out there that are getting recognition, because there's lots of people out there doing incredible things that they don't get the recognition they deserve, and like a lot of it is because social media, as we was talking about before, there's always someone doing something bigger and better. Yeah. There's always someone, and whether it's because they just happen to have more time or more money or whatever their circumstances may be, they might have worked really hard and that's their only focus in their life, is they just want to make that thing happen. We're not all as fortunate to be able to do that. But like you running or attempting to run 800 kilometres is nothing short of astounding in my eyes. I think that's where I'm trying to give the credit to you, because that is just, it's a phenomenal distance and a phenomenal challenge, and you pushed yourself to the absolute limits on that. Like, it got to the point where you was literally having seizures and being like, I want to still run, let me run, and they're like, calm down. And it's just, yeah, you've pushed yourself that far and you've done this incredible thing. And I'm glad to hear that people were giving you credit for it.
Thank you.
How have you found the response post-event?
It's been really sweet from everyone, but I think everyone kind of not missed the mark or what have you, but everyone, they keep saying, you did so well, but you still did so well. You can't blame yourself. You can't, etc., etc., etc. But for me personally, it's been tough, and I know for a fact, not one person who I've spoke to has ever meant it in this way. But the way my mind's been processing it, and how it's been with me, I don't want to sound I don't want to use the words condescending, patronising, etc. But when they're going, it's okay. It's not it's not you. It's the reason I couldn't be in the army in the first place was my epilepsy. So as I said before, my effort with this was to still be, or do my part, to almost feel like I'm apart for just a moment. This is my moment. And because of what stopped me in the first place, and I have no power, no control, there's nothing, it broke me it took me into some very dark places with it all. We're just struggling to get up, move. But I just said to myself, no, as soon as you make that first pull, you put your socks on, put your trousers on, come on, get to the front door, right, and just break it all down. I've been able to keep moving, but the response and support of everyone has been fantastic. But I think anyone who's ever been through any struggles mentally knows when if someone texts you and says, how are you today? It can just generally be a friend just checking in. Hey, how are you doing today? But you can look at that and go, mithering me, they're hassling me, and you get all wound up and upset about it. But no, it's just someone wanting to check in. These people are trying to be supportive but my head has been in such a weird place. I am reading that so wrong. And I think when people are doing it, they are doing it with all the love in the world. They're also not seeing, in the back there, it's winding me up and getting me more and more wound up. And I'm just having to go, right, okay, thank you, yeah, thank you. A little walk away and have a moment, and yeah, it's been a challenge with it all, but the support's been there. It's kind of counter.
Have you found anything that's helped deal with those sorts of emotions?
It's been music. Has been a big one. So I've stopped listening to, because there was certain types of music I was listening to, and certain types of, say, podcasts or certain things I just had to eliminate out of my life. So the music I listen to now is completely different. It might have been a bit more energetic and bouncy, and there'd be, say, hard rock music, and there'd be this, and then dance music and all these things. It's not now. There's basically hardly any words in the music I listen to now. It's more just relaxing, excuse me, more relaxing almost. Stuff that you listen to, say, chill music on a beach, or no, it's a lot of it's just right. Bring the tempo down. Just sit back, relax, and just listen. When I go on a walk or walking from point A to B, headphones in, just focus on what you're listening to. So then I'm not inside my head, not going into overthinking something small. You're just flowing, you're just doing these things. And it then becomes a peaceful thing that you're doing. Not stomping round, listening to hard bang, hard music going on. You're not focusing on having that in your head all the time. You're taking it away. And it's been one of the biggest things that I've found has helped me in the past, coming up to 2 months. Yeah.
It's something that's it's not spoken about enough, is what you just said, is about you've tried this thing, it hasn't gone to plan. How, just be the ability to deal with that afterwards, because there's so many people out there that just can't cope with it. Like, you set yourself this challenge, and it doesn't have to be a massive challenge. Like, I set myself massive challenges, you set yourself an incredible challenge. There's people, it could just be like, I want to lose a stone, and they might set themselves that challenge, and then when they fail, it's so easy to take it personally and just give up and be like, that's it now. Whereas you need to just find that way to be okay with it within yourself and accept the failures happened and get through it. But then it's also, well, I don't just want to give up. I had this goal.
Yeah.
Like, what happens next? And I've not really been to that point. Like, I tried the Welsh 3000s and I failed that. And I failed it because I didn't train enough. And it's like, I know if I'd just trained more and given the mountains the respect they deserve, I could do it. And I did. I went back the next year and I did it. Whereas, it's not always as easy as that. There's other factors that come into play, like your epilepsy. Yeah. So it's like, where do we move forward from that? Have you got something else in mind that you're like, you feel like you've still got something to prove maybe? Or is it like you're just learning to accept that failure? And
I don't know really, because I mean, it's been said about going back out and carrying on, and I couldn't put myself through it with the cars and go through stuff like that when you're on these long main roads. There's no pavement. You're looking at these, the tractors, the wagons, everything. If it was big, huge, we'll give them as much room as possible. They'd always fold them up, give me a wave, and just out of respect, all I'm doing is just running, so give them a bit of a wide berth, put a hand up, okay. It was always the little cars. It really was. It was always a Toyota Aygo, a Peugeot 107, these sort of things. And you were looking, going, they're not moving out, they're staying. And there was no other cars coming. You just knew. And then all of a sudden I was laying nettles again. And you just go, your car's tiny, give me a bit. But that was adding a heavy stress on. Because as soon as you saw one of those roads, you went, you've got a long time now. So when you're trying to keep up a pace, or keep up momentum, it wasn't there. You were in a bush somewhere. But one thing also I did find, since being back, that I had for a while, was sunglasses. It was like my comfort blanket. So, just short of hammering down with rain, I had sunglasses on nearly, I'd say 90% of the time. Other than being in work, if I was out, the sunglasses were on. And the whole reason was, I could start crying randomly as I'm walking down the road. And it could come out of nowhere. I wouldn't be feeling down, sad, anything. And then all of a sudden, eyes would go and just like, here we go again. Just didn't know what to do about it. So I started putting sunglasses on as a comfort blanket. And I think, like you say, with people who say they've tried to lose a stone in weight and it hasn't happened, or tried to do this and it hasn't happened, it sticks with you. But it's finding those little moments, those tiny little things. So, like I said, with the music, it's a slow tempo. It's relax, right? Just take everything. Just slow. Got my sunglasses on. Right, it's okay. People can't see these eyes streaming and coming down. No one can see that. It's okay. And you just had these little moments where it just built it back up. Which, of course, I can't say I'm there now, where I want to be back to. And if I'm honest, I'd like, having conversations like this now, I would have my sunglasses on, but I don't think that'd help. So anyone who's to watch this or a clip of this, if I was to sit there and say, that's my sunglasses, and I think the point is to show you can battle it, you can get through it. What you were trying to do was an amazing thing to help some amazing people, amazing cause. Got to stop being so hard on yourself. A lot of people, everyone can say, oh yeah, come on, you need to stop it. But till I've worked it out, it means nothing. Yeah. You're just hearing words, but nothing's sitting in, you're not taking it in really.
Yeah. It's something that you'll have to find your own way through, in a way. Like, no one can guide you through it. No matter what they say, those feelings aren't going away. They're going to be there. It's just finding your way of dealing with it. I was the same after the Welsh 3000s. That was the first time I'd failed anything. I used to do these challenges years before, and that's how I always thought of myself. Is I was like, I'm someone that can get through anything. I could do these challenges. I trained super hard, and then I had a period where I couldn't train, and I came back, and that was the first thing I wanted to do. And I was like, the thing is, I know I'm not going to give up. I went into it being like, I'm not fit enough, I'm not ready, but I'm not going to give up. And then it got to a point, and it was like, I have to give up. And I'd never faced that before. And coming back, I told people about I was doing 12 challenges, and I failed on the first one. And I was like, why the fuck did I say that? Why have I told people I'm going to do this thing? And you almost get that feeling of like, I wish I hadn't said anything.
Yeah.
And then coming back, and like you're saying, everyone's like, oh, it's okay, like, you tried, and you just haven't done it this time. Like, there's time, you got time. Or it's like, they give you excuses of being like, oh, it didn't happen because of this, you can't control that. And they're trying to give you an out, but you just in your head, it's like, I didn't do the thing I said I was going to do. Yeah. And I found after like maybe like a month, everyone else has moved on in their head. They've forgotten about the thing that you've done, and you haven't, and it's still there, and it's in the back of your head, and you can't talk to people about it because they'll be like, oh, well, that thing you did a while ago, and in your head it's still fresh, and it's like, I still can't get over that. Like, what's
it's like if I got to I've got to the same place, and I was running along and my knee popped out. Right. That is nothing. There's nothing I could have done. Nothing. It's just my knee has left, and that's it. I could have put up with that. It's the fact it's the epilepsy. Yeah. It is almost the thing I'm most. I can't even think of the word now. But anyway, it's the thing that I feel weakest about. When people if I've had a seizure. Another one, like I say, with this, when I got back and everyone, no, you did a fantastic, you did this, when people come over and I've had a seizure or something's happened, and you get the lovely comments, and they do mean well, but it makes you go feel like that. And you do, and you sit there and you just trying to smile and go, oh, thank you, yeah, it was very good. But you do not feel that smile couldn't be more artificial unless it was drawn on. That's the diff. You're pretty much just creating it's just fictitious, it's not a real thing. So when, that's just in general with the epilepsy. When I tried to do the run, got me big. I'd said to everyone, I'm going to do this. No, because you're epilepsy again. Like I say, if my knee, ankle, anything, I could have coped. I'd just gone, a car hit me. What am I going to do? There's nothing I could have done about that. We run around a corner and there's a giant pothole and some ankle goes. Happened a couple times, to be fair, but fortunately nothing major happened from that. Just had, say, 10 minute sit down, walk for the next hour, and then get going again. To give it time to set, it will be fine. But it's almost like the pat on the back, and it's okay. It kind of feels like when you're, 7, 8 years old, when someone comes over and goes on top of your head, and you just want to look up and just go, do you want to be any more patronising, or that's how it feels? But like I say, it's best of intentions. They're supporting what you're doing, what you've done it for, who you've done it for. They're there. But you look and you go, you condescending. And then your head goes, no, don't behave like that. They are not meaning it.
Yeah. I feel like for you, it's almost just that reminder of what you have to go through every day with the epilepsy. Like you're saying, if it's something else, it's like, oh, well, this thing's happened, and it's there for a moment, and then it's gone. Whereas with this, it's like, I've tried to do this thing, and the things that stop me is the thing that I struggle with every day. And now seeing it from that point of view, that's so much harder. Like, yeah, I've got full respect for you for like what you have to go through constantly, but you're still going, and that's the thing. And yeah, it's going to be hard, but yeah, I do think it's incredible what you're doing.
Like I say, it's when I was doing the run, I remember that first day where I had, let's call it a breakdown, call it for what it is. I was running and I just started crying. And it was a proper, I don't know if I can keep going with this. I don't know what to do. And I just kept running. And it was a sunny day, there was so much going on. But I just kept running. I kept running. Spoke to a couple of people on the phone. And eyes were gone, everything, and it was a proper, it wasn't just a little sob, it was a proper crying, and the noise and everything was going, and just kept going. So now, I think that's one of the things that's actually kept me going now. Like, I mean, yeah, not handling it in as good a way now, of course, but when I had that moment and I was crying and was probably sobbing, everything's coming out. I just kept going because that's all I could do. I just knew if you keep going through this and get to the other end, you're going to be able to smile. You are going to be able to do it. And as soon as I got through the crying, got to the end that day, I remember being sat there, and of course many people have questioned my judgment on what I did each evening, which was get myself a pint, but I felt like I deserved it after a long run. But I'd sit there with a pint in my hand, and I'd just say to myself, think about what you've done today. You got up and you did another day. Be proud. And I'd be getting in bed each night with a big grin, just going, you know what? Most people won't run one marathon in a lifetime. You know, what is it? Is it over 90% never do marathon or that sort of distance? I did it multiple days on the run, no pun intended, but you could sit there and just go, well done, you can be proud of yourself. And that meant so much. Now getting back, after the seizures, after everything, when people said it to me, 2 days before I was saying it to myself, well, now someone else says it to me. Like I say, your head reads something that's not there. It goes, that's just patronising. They're just trying to upset me. In actual fact, they're saying the exact thing you said 2 days before. They're going, well, you should be proud of you. Well done. I'm so proud of you. I get to say my friend did this. I'm proud. You read them, you're going, oh, thanks. You pull a face and your head gets a bit annoyed about things. Yeah. Why? You were so proud. Now I don't have that pride there. It's just gone.
Do you feel like you've carried any of that across to your day-to-day life, of like just at the end of the day just being like, you know what, I've got through this again today? And does it give you hope at all that you'll get that back of like, I've got through today, I've done something that's given me forward progress? Or is that something you're still struggling with?
I still struggle with it every day. I really do. But I'm getting better. Not having random crying sessions on the way to and from work. Major step. I've stopped going in the pub as much. That's another major step, because when I got back, it felt like the pub was the only good place. You sit there, have a drink, try and get in, find something that for some reason I believed was there. It wasn't. But I believed that beer in my hand, that, going through that every day, you're only hurting yourself. But I guess in a weird way it made it easier to sleep. Just being, get home after 7 pints or whatever, then get the cans out, and then, pass out to sleep. Okay, I've made it. But, yeah, I wasn't dealing with anything, I wasn't actually acknowledging it as such. But I think, possibly for the first time, I think 3 times in my life, truly felt that I'm disabled. I've been able to ignore it and just go, it's a thing. It's just a thing there. We can keep moving. Yeah, we can carry this for the ride. It's irrelevant. But the first time was when I wasn't allowed to join the army, Second time was when I had to give up the... So I used to have a motorbike some years ago, and I had to give that up because you've got to go 12 months in between seizures to be able to drive or have a bike. And then the third was the end of this run. It's the 3 times where I've really felt it's of that much importance. And when I've let it, it's beaten me like, I don't know, Mike Tyson. It's just Mike Tyson inside my head. And no matter what to do, I can't stop. No. Which, I mean, stick me in a ring with Mike Tyson, there's no way I'm stopping Mike Tyson either. So I can't stop the epilepsy, I can't stop, it's just a thing now, and I have to get back to dealing with it and still being able to smile. But a real smile. Not this fake, like I say, a fictitious one that can only be more artificial if it was drawn there,
What do you think is going to have to change for that to happen, or do you think it's just a process of time?
Like I say, with it, so far, because I've had the music, I can say with music, it's made such a difference. Just slower music, because everything's been so fast and always going. Slowing everything down again, just bringing it back to, okay, it's almost normal life, come on, we can just walk through. That's been a major difference. And I just keep thinking, because I remember Mum and Dad always saying I was a very smiley child, very smiley. Why can't I be there again? Why can't I walk around with a big silly grin just because that was just standard face? I'm always smiling. So I started thinking, right, what can we do to get back there? I guess in a weird way it's going to be like a little workout for me every day. Right, let's just start with a smile and with a smile. You've done another day. Today, you've been able to get through another day when a few weeks ago you were struggling with that, just getting out of bed. You've not just got out of bed, you've gone and lived a full day. That's a great thing. So I'll be able to sit there in the evening and just smile, go, you have done it. You should be proud of that. Well done. And those little moments are what's getting me through at the moment and getting me to the next point. So I think it's just about self-affirmations, acknowledging the good parts. And like I say, for me, it's been the music. There's been a major part of it as well.
Yeah. It's a hard journey to go through. I feel like you're taking the right steps, as slow a process as it's going to be. I feel like you said, it's like a workout of you don't go into the gym and be like, my goal is a 200 kilo squat, so I'm going to put 200 kilos on the bar and try it, because you'll break. Yeah. And you'll just feel worse than you did before. So it's that, right now I'm going to build up from where I'm at, having that starting point, and just build, like you're saying, smile at the start and end of the day. Now let's make that a bit longer each side of the day, and eventually it will come. But there's so many people out there that just won't do anything. They'll just let it eat away inside them, and they'll just never get that relief. They're just like, it's just another day, I don't want to wake up, I don't want to get out of bed. Other than what we've already spoken about, do you have any advice for people, whether it's down to them failing something, whether it's down to they're just fed up of how their life's going? How would you help them out with that?
I think it sounds daft in a way, but once you get out of the house, you make that step, and it's like today. I was crossing a road in Birmingham, New Street, and I was just crossing over, and there's an elderly lady. She was quite slow crossing this road. I stayed with her and just went, yeah, here you go, right, to the next part. And then there was another traffic light to go over to the next bit. And she had this big grin. Thank you so much for walking me over. You didn't have to do that. Not a problem at all. You're going to be okay. Would you like me to be? No, that's fine. Thank you very much. And I'd like to think that made a bit of a positive impact on her day. So she had her big, smile on her face, because I'd just taken an extra 30 seconds to help that lady, just make sure she got over the road and everything's fine, because she was a bit slow on her feet. Then you sit there and you think, that person's day, maybe just for a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, it's been a bit happier, a bit more improved. And maybe someone's just seen that and gone, what a lovely thing someone's done there. Just doing those little things. I've felt, when I've gone afterwards as well, gone, nice thing to do, actually. I didn't do it out of, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this because then it's going to make me feel better. And no, it's just naturally done it and then gone afterwards. Yeah, you made that person, maybe you made a couple of people there smile. So when they were feeling bad, but they were struggling with something like you are, you've put a smile on that person's face. Well done. And then all of a sudden, it feels like it's circling round, because still while you're struggling, you're helping other people. And it's just, I think just having that, you're still able to give out those smiles to people. Even when it's not smiley in your world, it can make a small but positive impact on yourself. So yeah, now each time, when there's anything ever like that, I will take the extra time and do it. Yeah. Because if you think, say you do one thing today that's put a smile on 2 people's faces, and they go, you know what, tomorrow, seeing a moment like that, and say, right, I'm going to do something that puts those 2, and then the other person does it as well. So from one person, in 24 hours, it's reached 4 from one small little moment. And then all of a sudden you keep going, you know, like pyramid effect as such. All of a sudden. So if you think, within 30 days, the amount of people that's reached, when all I've done is, in that 30 seconds I've stayed with someone just to walk over the road, that mindset puts me at such a peaceful place, because you go, you know what, that smile has reached so many now. So whenever I'm struggling, just think, right, come on, remember, you can put a smile on too. It'll go a long way, and you suddenly feel yourself just go, yeah, actually, let's make a bit more of an effort for everyone else, because it comes back round. Yeah. It'll always come back. What is it they say? Smile and the world will smile with you. Yeah. It truly, it does.
Yeah. I think something that's good to think about as well is the fact that you've done this for charity. Like, how much money did you raise for Help for Heroes?
I think in total it's come, well, so far it's about $2,500 now. Yeah. So, but I've got the last charity pots to pick up to then send off add up, then send it off to Help for Heroes, and then, then I'll know at the end, but it's going to be, hopefully, about 2,500 and some change.
Yeah. So, like, no matter what, you've raised that money, and that money's going to be used to impact a cause that you're passionate about. So I think that's something that, despite everything else, is something to be proud of, because fundraising is so fucking hard. This is how someone worded it to me. How hard is it to get money off of people that owe you money? Like, it is incredibly hard. Like, you might have lent them a tenner, and to get that tenner back off them is insane. So then, how hard is it to get money off people that don't owe you anything?
Yeah.
So that's how I see fundraising.
Well, for me, it's the hardest part is, I mean, we're all suffering with it, like cost of living and everything now. Which, you just go to a shop every day and you see the difference, and you go, like, look, and you just go, sometimes, like, I've done a day's worth of shopping, and I've gone, well, how's it got so much? I can go to the little restaurant down the road and sit there and have a lovely meal, and it's costing the same as a meal deal from Tesco or follow on, So if someone's, if a meal deals are coming in at £4 or £5, trying to get someone to donate £10, which is 2 days worth of little lunches at work, no one wants to part with that, and you can understand it.
Yeah.
So it's a tough time to do it, but that's also where the charities need it more right now, because just like us, the charities struggle. They can't. No, it's when they're paying for the gas, electrics, all this for the offices. I think sometimes people forget that, well, at the end of the day, someone's got to pay that rent on that building. Someone's got to pay that gas. Someone's got to pay that. It's not given to them for free because it's a charity. They've still got to pay for it all. Yeah. So when it goes up for myself and you, it goes up for them as well. And so at a time like now, just for these charities to keep functioning every day, there's more and more charities you hear are losing offices where they work from. And you just go, what? How? What can you do now to help? Because people haven't got the money to spare for them. Yeah. No, I think right now it has been a bit of a... I think if it was, say, 12, 18 months ago, I'd have been able to raise a lot more money. But with it being 8 years, it had to be this year, of course. But then they need it more now than they did then, because otherwise you're going to see more and more charities closing. Yeah. And unless they're at these top end, Oxfams and everything, where they are that big, and they're all just going to start tumbling like, dominoes, really. It's a worrying thought, because where's the support going to come from then? Yeah. So many people who rely on the charities, and even food banks and places like that. If people can't spare the money or the bits to give to food banks or give to a charity, then the food banks and charities can't stay open to be able to give to the people who need it. So it's just, everyone's going to just suddenly stop. And then what do we all do?
Yeah. It's not at all.
Exactly. If we can't afford it now, if I can't afford just keep going, charities can't either. Yeah. it's a horrible situation at the moment, and putting in the effort, I would have liked 10 times more, of course, but I understand it.
The fact that you raised that much, I think, is incredible, and the fact that people are actually still up for giving gives me a bit of hope.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it is tough out there, and they're still giving.
Yeah.
Um,
I was shocked and immensely humbled by it.
Yeah.
Because, with Just Giving, it's got the amount of donations or amount of people donating. When you look at it and you just go, wow, that is moving. Thank you. You just think that 50, 60, whatever it was, they all did that. They all supported you.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. It's not just the people who the money will end with, like the Help for Heroes, and all the work they do. It's those people who supported you. They're there to support you. This is your part. Come on. Let's get it back up. Let's get back up. Let's keep moving. Put your top back on your coffee and just we'll go again.
So, what's next for you?
Keep getting myself, or keep progressing in the right direction personally, so I can spend more time of my day with a real smile. That's my main target right now. Get myself into where I want to be, just mentally, and once I can do that, I'll be able to I'll go back to the gym again. But right now, I was talking to someone not long ago, and he said, why aren't you in the gym? And I said, I just can't do it. He said, why? When I walk in, the moment I walk in, I feel everyone looks at me, and I have to get back out. I can't. Not one person has looked at me. They're all looking forwards, they're in the mirrors, doing whatever. I walk in, and I could swear every single person has turned and... It's just, the anxiety is so strong. I can't do it. So, come away. So till I can get myself mentally back, ready to get back in the gym, get there, that's going to be my next challenge. And then, hopefully, I'll be able to take on another challenge, again, raising money for someone, something, somewhere. But right now, it is a very personal task, job, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Journey. Let's go journey. Personal journey right now to get myself back on the straight and narrow again.
Yeah. At the end of each episode, I like to get the guests to set a challenge for the listeners for this week. So what would your challenge for the listeners be?
I said earlier on about with that lovely lady today, we're just helping across the road. So it's going to be something quite simple. It's just put a smile on someone's face, help them. Just do something helpless, something simple. Can I help you with your bag? Can I put a smile on someone else's face, but through a good deed? That's it. Not put a smile on someone's face by insulting someone else, nothing like that. But through a good deed, put a smile on someone's face. Yeah. Nice and simple.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for your honesty and vulnerability. I think that's going to be quite powerful for people to listen to.
Thank you very much for having me on.
No worries.
Pleasure.
How can people find you online if they want to follow what you're doing?
The Instagram page is still up. It's 80 km for 800 years, but going to be changing that soon, of course, since I'm not doing it now. No, 800 km for 80 years. That'll be the better way of trying to search for it. So yeah, it's pretty much on that at the moment. I'm going to be trying to get back on YouTube again and doing a bit more of like streaming or things like that. But as it stands, it's just Instagram, the one I'm focusing on, and then trying to get more photos back on once the smile's back.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thanks again. Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Adventure Athletes podcast. If you want to find out more about our guests, check out the links in the description below, where you'll also find a link to our website, our socials, and my BigMoose fundraiser. Let us know in the comments who you want to hear from next, and we'll try and get them booked on as best we can. And if you want to get involved with anything Adventure Athletes, we've got so many things going on. We've got our programming that we'll do for people trying to take their next step into their own personal adventures. We'll do sports massage. We've got events that we're organising both online and in person, and we've got some different activity days based around getting you outdoors and learning something new. So if you want to get involved, check out the website. If you want to find out more about the guest, check out the links in the description. And yeah, let us know who you want on next.